Hello and welcome back to the Victoria Marie YouTube channel where I feature all things scrapbooking and crafting. If that's something you enjoy, make sure you hit the subscribe button. When you do, click the bell. That way you'll be notified each and every time a new video is posted. So in today's video, I'll be making a 12 by 12 layout in celebration of National Scrapbooking Day, International Scrapbooking Day, maybe the whole weekend. Some of us are celebrating all week long. In recognition of storytelling and scrapbooking our memories, today I have a layout that talks about my second year being on the Scrapbooking Cards Today magazine design team. Absolutely love this design team. I love the owner and publisher, and I love all of my design teammates. This is a privilege to be able to design for them professionally, and of course I want to document it, and I thought what better day to do that than during National Scrapbook Day in celebration of that. So without further ado, here we go. First things first, I'm going to cut out an electronic cut file from Paige Evans. It's called Create, and that's going to be the basis of my title and a focal point on the layout. And I'm going to do so by using my Cricut Explorer Air 2. So I'm going to go into Design Space. I'm going to upload this cut file. Now I've already uploaded, but for the sake of this video, just showing you real quickly how you can do that in Design Space. There is an option for you to upload SVG files, PNGs, and other file extensions that you can cut using the machine. I'm going to select the cut file that I want to use, and I just have that saved on my computer. Of course, Cricut has tons and tons of cut files that you can choose from. I'm going to use this one right here. I'm going to select Upload, and that's going to pop that right on to my mat. Actually, I got to select the image first so I can work with it. Once I select the image, then I'm going to click Add it to my canvas, and so that will pop that right onto that digital canvas within Design Space. And from here, I can go ahead and manipulate the file as I wish. So what I want to do is I'm going to resize it to it's a little bit over 8 inches because I want some space on either side of my layout. I don't want this entire cut file to take up the entire space of my layout. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, make sure that the cut file is sized the way that I want it. And I can do that just by expanding and contracting the cut file. I can also do that by changing the number sizes there at the top where it says size. Once I have the cut file the size that I wanted, now I'm ready to cut. And I'm going to go ahead and click Make It. And it's going to send that cut file to my machine. I can also, before I confirm to continue, make sure that that cut file is positioned on my mat where I want it placed. And I really like this feature of Cricut because if you have multiple cut files that you're trying to cut, then you can position on your mat how you want to and try to preserve some of your paper if needed. But I'm just doing this one cut file, so it's okay. I'm moving the middle parts of the R and the A out of the way because I want them solid. I wasn't quite sure at that point if I wanted those cut out or not. Now I'm going to click Continue, and it's going to find my machine. And then once it does, I can go ahead and cut out this gorgeous cut file from Paige Evans. So I went ahead and removed the cut file from the mat, and it looks so beautiful. Now, naturally, I think when we look at cut files, we think, let's back it with pattern paper. I'm actually going to leave that cut file as it is, and I'm going to work with the letters that actually are cut out of that cut file. So I'm going to be scrapbooking this photo. It's 5 by 5, and I resized it in Photoshop, and that is the marketing image that was used to announce this year's design team for Scrapbooking Cards Today. And I love scrapbooking my crafty adventures and my opportunities to do contract work and to design with various companies. And so that's what I'm doing today. Okay, so I have these letters that cut out from that cut file, and I have it on a piece of the press and seal to keep them all together. It's a little bit sticky, which is great. And I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to be adding a little bit of coloring to the bottom of the letters to make it look like it's fading up. So the colors I'm using are Broken China, Salvaged Patina, Cracked Pistachio, Mustard Seed, Picked Raspberry, and Saltwater Taffy. I also have my ink stand, and I love this tool. I'm going to post a link to the ink stand. These are fantastic to hold your ink pads in place while you are working with them. And I find this handy because sometimes I have a little bit of carpal tunnel. And so sometimes when I'm holding ink pads, I'm trying to hold them still and use them, my hand hurts a little bit between my index finger and my thumb. And so I can put these on the ink stand, and I don't have to worry about it as a spot for the lid. And then I can just use my applicator, and the ink pad's not going to move, and that really, really helps me out whenever I'm working on projects like this. So I'm going to take a little bit of the Broken China, and I'm trying to do this in rainbow order. It's not a big deal if it's not exact, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of this Distress Oxide ink on the bottoms of the letters to make it kind of look like it's fading out from white into the color. And I'm going to do that for all of the letters. I'm using a Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station. It has magnets. This is a smaller Make Art Station, and I love using this whenever I'm working with inks or if I'm stenciling and that type of thing. So I'm just kind of testing it out to see how it looks against that cut file, and I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same process for the other letters.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, really wanna know.
Now that I have all of the letters colored, I'm going to back them with some tiny little pieces of foam. I like these little small foam squares, and I can't remember where I got those from, to be honest. They may be 3L, I can't remember. Anyway, I like using these tiny little foam squares because they're perfect for projects like this. If I want to back something or pop it up and it's a small element, I could have also used foam strips. I could have cut some fun foam to the size of the letter. Lots of different options. The main thing is that I wanted those letters to have some dimension so they pop up from the frame of the cut file. So now what I'm going to do is kind of test it out, make sure that I have all the colors the way that I want to, and it's looking really good. I need to switch my ease because I'm trying to go in rainbow order, or at least as close to it as I can. And once I look at it, I love it. I absolutely think that's beautiful. It's just that little bit of color to make it pop without going too overboard with that cut file, and I think it's perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and work on my background. Now, I am using materials from the Paige Evans Wonders collection. I'm also using some materials from Hip Kit Club Kit, and I believe that is either Basil or American Crafts white texture cardstock. I'm going to say that's American Crafts white texture cardstock. I trimmed that down to 11 by 11. I'm going to keep the background 12 by 12. Of course, there's that ombre yellow pattern paper, and I have many sheets of that pattern paper, so I'm okay with not gutting the middle of that because I don't need to keep any of it. And I'm going to go ahead and mount my photo, or back my photo rather, with some of the blue pattern paper that comes from the Wonders collection. If you've watched my scrapbook, what did I do, Spring Clean series, I was trying to remember the name of the series, I got rid of a lot of my pattern paper. So I have about half of what was left, a lot of just stock cardstock that I had from American Crafts when I was on their design team, and so now I'm trying to slowly work through that. I'm going to go ahead and use two blue colors. Absolutely love it, just beautiful. I like that last one that has some purple in it, just a little pop of color there to make that photo stand out. Then I had an idea, which ultimately I'm not going to keep. So I wanted something to be an anchor, another anchor for that photo. So I grab a piece of 6 by 8 pattern paper from the Paige Evans Wonder collection, and I cut a strip, and then I cut 2 angles, and I realized, no, that's too short. Maybe I'll reposition it. Then I cut it in half, and I'm going to dovetail it at both ends. I'm going to try it again with the angles, and it's still not working out. And then I start thinking, you know, I do want to add embellishments there. And one of the things I hate doing is covering up elements with a bunch of stuff. Because, you know, if I'm going to cut this banner, then I want it to show on my layout. So I'm going to go ahead and cut and dovetail that at either end, as I decided, nope, those angles are not going to work for me. And then ultimately, I'm going to decide that this whole situation is just not going to work, because when I put elements there, like die cuts and such, it's just going to cover up those banners. I like the way that it frames out the photo, but I'm just going to go with a different option. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and put down my cut file that says Create. And it does appear as though my camera is shifting, because it is. I did not realize the arm of my mount was shifting as I'm recording. So I will adjust this once I recognize it's happening here in just a minute or so. So just bear with me. So now it's time to add the letters to the cut file piece. And I just love the way that these letters are popped up. It gives the title a lot of height and dimension, and it just looks so pretty with the floral design around the letters. Now, one of the things about cut files is that you don't necessarily have to back them with pattern paper. There's a lot of different things that you can do with cut files to make them stand out on a page, to add some interest, add some texture, add some color. And so that's what I'm doing with the title. So as I'm putting these letters in place, I'm trying to decide if I want to add the middle parts of the R and the A, and I just take the little white bits there, the solid white bit, and just put that there. I could have cut that part out, but I didn't, and it's okay. We're moving on. Next up, I'm going to pop up a banner that says wonderful there at the top of the photo because I felt it needed a little bit of grounding there, like the photo felt like it was going to pop off the page. Then I'm going through all of the elements to decide what do I want to use to accent the page. So I immediately knew that I wanted to let go of those yellow banners that I created, and instead I went through those die cut packs from the Hip Kit Club kit, and I don't remember what month this is from, but I had them in my stash. I'm going to flank both sides of the photo with some layered clusters of flowers. Now these flowers have a slightly different design, but they're the same color, and they coordinate with the colors in the Paige Evans Wonders collection, so it worked perfectly. So I'm going to put 3 flowers on the left, 3 on the right, and then I'm going to pop up the blue one so that it has a little bit of height and dimension. And then to these clusters, I want to add some green leaves as well, just to give a little bit more of some height and presence and dimension to the clusters. Just using a little bit of foam there in the middle of the flower, pop that up, tuck it underneath that create die cut, or electronic cut file rather. Here comes the leaves, pop 1 to the right and 1 to the left. And then I have another style of leaf there. This all comes in the same die cut pack. And I love the way that that looks. It's so beautiful and just springy. I was kind of going for something light and airy. That's just kind of how I'm feeling in design right now. Then I have these acetate butterflies. They feel like, well, not acetate. Maybe they're vellum. I think they're vellum, not acetate. Vellum butterflies. And they have a little bit of silver foiling. I'm going to actually reposition the butterfly on the left. We'll see in a second. Then I figured I needed some grounding there at the bottom of the layout. So I'm going to cut one of the branding strips from the pattern paper, and I'm going to cut a thin strip of pattern paper from that blue design. I'm going to cut it at an angle. I like doing that because sometimes, well not sometimes, all the time I think, it gives the layout a really cool look when you cut things at an angle. So I'm going to go ahead and position that right underneath that little pink strip, and that looks really, really nice. And it doesn't feel as though those elements are falling off the page. I'm going to reposition that butterfly right there to the top. I did have some gold hearts in the middle of those butterflies, but they weren't staying on. So I'm going to remedy that later. I'm going to add a little bit of chipboard, little pink chipboard hearts that come from the chipboard sheet from the same collection, the Wonders collection. Then I'm going to add a little bit of my Barely Art glue to the chipboard heart, and I'm going to add in those metallic heart, the gold metallic hearts. For some reason the sticky wasn't staying on those little puffy stickers, so add a little bit of liquid glue there. I'm going to add a couple of more hearts just to kind of flank it out, adding in smaller elements since I have those larger scale florals there, just kind of balance out that design. Next, I'm going to add my journaling where I talk about how fun it is and what a privilege it is to be a part of this design team and to do projects with scrapbooking cards today, which is a lot of fun. I printed my journaling in Microsoft Word, and then of course I printed it out using some vellum, and this vellum is called Layering Vellum from Hero Arts, and I'll make sure to post the link. I add a little bit of Tombow mono adhesive and just laid that on the layout, and no, you cannot see the adhesive, which is fantastic. Next, I'm going to add some corners to the top of the layout because I felt it needed just a little bit more grounding up there, and sometimes I like to remedy that by adding corners, either at the top, the bottom, or both for a layout, and I think that makes it appear as though the elements aren't just going to fall off the page, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and add those corners, and then this layout is going to be complete. One of the things that I want to tell you for especially this weekend, National Scrapbook Day, International Scrapbook Day weekend, if you will, is that scrapbooking is such a fun hobby, right? We all know this. So make sure you take some time this weekend to sit down with your supplies, make a layout, even if it's something small. It doesn't have to be anything major, and just really enjoy this fantastic hobby of ours. I'm really, really fortunate that not only do I get to do this as a hobby, but also as a career, and I love sharing what I make with all of you, and I'm so inspired by your ideas, your creativity, and of course I always appreciate your support. If you are a Victoria Marie Scrap Boss patron, there is some bonus content with regards to this layout. I talk a little bit about why I decided to go with this specific design, so make sure you check that out. And as always, a big thanks to everyone for joining me today here on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. If you like what you saw in this video, make sure that you subscribe, and when you do, click the bell. That way you'll be notified each and every time new content is posted to this channel. Happy National International Scrapbook Day, Scrapbook Weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video.